observer, man, the Parliamentary Secretary in the Ministry of Sport and Youth Affairs, Senator the Honourable David Nakhid. And he's got a lot to discuss. I just want to let you know, folks, we're talking about the David Nakhid Academy. Now, here's the important part you need to underline. East-West Corridor Football League. The David Nakhid Academy, East-West Corridor Football League. It's big, it's huge, it's stronger than Black Disinfect. This man, and this is something that I gotta say about, Senator Nakhid. When you speak about the young people, he always says, let's give them the avenue. Let's find a way for them to capitalize on what's being offered so they can elevate themselves. Pleasant good evening to you, Senator.
Good evening, big brother Mikey.
Yes, indeed.
First of all, thanks for your invitation to be on. Saying hello to your listeners, your viewers, and congratulations on your appointment. Well deserved, much deserved. Blessings and love in your house all the time.
Thank you. Tell us, the David Nakhid Academy East-West Corridor Football League. Why the East-West Corridor?
Well, the East-West Corridor is a symbolic representation of Trinidad and Tobago. The East-West Corridor is the spine of Trinidad and Tobago. I mean, it runs, you know how it runs. The East-West Corridor, Northeast, Northwest, and everything. But it's a symbolic representation of the country because it's where I grew up. It's where so many of our players who played for the national team grew up playing on the East-West Corridor. And I wanted that symbolism to remain while we include also in this league South and Central and Tobago. We also have South, Central, and Tobago included in this league. So it's just a symbolic representation of what this league means, where it comes from historically, and that's all it is. But I think, as you have always heard me say, Brother Mikey, once we fix the East-West Corridor, we fix Trinidad and Tobago.
And I agree, and I know coming out of that corridor, that the amount of stories that you get bombarded with, and what I've witnessed myself, young people unable to afford perhaps football boots, single mothers, they don't have time to drop off and pick up, they're trying to make ends meet. And these young people are sometimes just simply neglected. But once the opportunity is there, once there's an avenue, once there's a chance that they feel a sense of belonging and a sense of purpose and being, we all believe that they can make a difference. And what's going to make this league different than the others that have been, have come and gone?
Well, let's be fair to Etihad. Etihad had a league that ran from 1967 and ran for quite a while, for decades. Now, when it started, it really galvanized the East-West Corridor. And we have to give him kudos for that. I don't like to be, even if I don't like the PNM, and as a matter of fact, I hate the PNM, but I will always be fair to the people within the PNM. And we have to give our kudos to Etihad. But that league ran into the ground. They ran that league into the ground. That league was no more. Even before it was officially no more, it was done. So what we are doing is not only coming up with something bigger, more expansive, more explosive, more impactful to the youth of the corridor and the whole of Trinidad and Tobago, where we have expanded it in South, Central, Tobago, everywhere. What we are doing is we've given them more avenues, as you've said, more avenues to explore and reach their potential. What we have coming out of this league, as the patron of this league is the Honourable Prime Minister, because when I pitched this to her, Mikee K, her response was immediate. She was like, go with this. She loved this because it's a grassroots initiative. And we have to have something on the grassroots level for our people. And there's nothing that unifies our people like football, especially the young people. And now we've given them a chance to use this league because we're going to have coaches coming down. And I'll send you something after where you see, where we have a Spanish coach, coaches talking about they're coming to Trinidad and Tobago to look at the players in this league, and we're going to have an all-star team from this league going to Spain to play games in Spain, and have professional clubs watching at them and giving them that opportunity. We're also going to have a United States coaches coming down to watch players and give them the opportunity to perhaps follow an educational pathway in the United States. So we're providing that opportunity for people, for young people on the corridor and all around Trinidad and Tobago that no one has provided before. Because all the T&M did in the last 10 years was put on events. Shamfa would put on an event, Cummins would put on an event for 2 days, and who got the money? The service providers. And I have the receipt, Mikee K. You know me, I don't talk unless I have the receipt. I have the receipt. The service providers got the money. The people who were involved in administration got the money. Right in Dali Young, I hope you're listening. So I have all the receipts, so I could call people names, Brother Mikee K. But in this league, the Prime Minister stressed that she wanted that money to go to the people involved in their own development. So if you look at the price structure, people say, wow, $120,000 for first prize in a minor league? Unheard of, Mikee K. $75,000 second prize, $50,000 third prize. All-star team paid by the league on a trip to Spain. All of these things are in making sure that the people who are involved in their own development get rewarded, and not the service providers, not the administrators, not the people who do it, who are being paid very modest salaries. It's the people involved in their own development who stand to benefit from this. And that is what their developmental policy should mean.
And I'm glad you said that, because I agree with you. I mean, too many times we hear that the administrative cost basically overshadows the entire event. People just bringing this one on as administrator, and what happens to the athletes? Where do they go? How do they benefit? How do they grow? And you know, I think the time has come for us to stop that. People are bringing their talent, they're bringing their sacrifice, they're bringing their hope that they can go out there and perhaps get a scholarship, a full scholarship, to play on the international circuit and represent this country. But instead, we have people who seem to just want to make up their face and go to these events and have a good time. I don't get it. I don't get it.
Exactly. You know, we had born out of the T&M was a serious program events kind of culture, where they put on a 2-day events, caravan events, or some kind of shoppiness that was not development policy. It was all about eater food for the administrators, for their service providers, and sometimes the administrator or the one who did the program or who initiated the program, when they check the service provider, they own the company. Right, Pastor Cummins? So when I call them people's name, I know I tell you about. I'm waiting for them, Brother Mikee, because it was really a disgusting, reprehensible policy by the P&M to not have anything that benefited the people on the ground. This league will benefit the people on the ground.
And you said recently in an interview with the Secondary School Football League that, you know, there wasn't enough time given for these players to actually try to hone in on their skills and develop.
Yeah, three months, nowhere in the world would you see a league at that level, basically players from 15 to 19, sometimes 20, playing in a league that was for 3 months, where they'd be cramming games, 2 games into a week and so. So I also had meetings with the SSFL, the president, Mary Gonzalez. He was very, very amenable, because sometimes you find these people in these positions and they don't want to change. They're very comfortable, and I think our Prime Minister has always stressed that we have to start to do things differently than what has happened before. Because you see where we've reached. We've reached basically a wall in so many things. And we have to change that culture. So that league, that 3 months, must be 6 months. It must be at least 6 months that people can take care of they can take care of their craft. They can hone their craft. They can take care of how they think about the game. You give coaches time to mentor coach players, to take care of their injuries, to take care of their their strategic and tactical ability. It gives you more time, and that's what development policy has to do with. Time, process. Implementation and process. And we did not have that. I proposed that to the SSFL. I saw the president recently at the game. He told me that he's very interested in having the talks because we have to talk with the different stakeholders and get them to buy in as well. You have to change the culture of how we think. Trinidad, the first thing we'll tell you, but we produce so many players from that league. Yeah, but that was before. We're not producing the same players now. It's a big difference. So we're looking forward to having those discussions as we go along, Brother Mikey, and look forward to progressing our development in Trinidad and Tobago on all levels.
Now, when you talk about something different and changing the game up a bit, you have athletes who would need a lot of polishing. And when I say that, they may have the skills on field, they may have all that it takes on field. But as far as having the right attitude, understanding the importance of having a good attitude, discipline. I mean, these are words sometimes that are just bandied about. But when you look at it, many of that seems to be missing, and young athletes just disappear with so much talent because they weren't groomed. They didn't go through the process. Is it going to be different with the David Nakhid Academy East-West Corridor Football League?
It is, because in those leagues previously, we didn't have proper monitoring, evaluation, assessment of players. And that's what we need. We need the communities to come out. We need these players placed under pressure by their communities to perform, and then we can assess them. We can assess them physically, technically, even mentally, as something that has been neglected in Trinidad. We need to see these players under pressure and from all sides. We have to get away from what we've fallen into, which is a player has 1 or 2 games in colleges league, and then we tout him as the next best thing. No, it has to be a process, and we have to see them constantly playing, Brother Mikey, against higher level opposition. We have to see them. So this All-Star team, we intend to take them to Spain. We also intend to take them regionally. Do you know, Brother Mikey, we've had interest from teams in other Caribbean islands about this league, about coming to play in this league. That's to tell you the kind of impact people realize this is what is needed, not only in Trinidad and Tobago, but throughout the Caribbean. Proper development can only happen within a framework where there's always competition, where there's always a higher level that you're aspiring to. That's where you get development in sport.
Yeah, and one of the things that you touched on, and I'm sure many people would agree, is that there always seems to be this wide gap between when we had it, when we showcased it, when we had that sense of pride, and compared to from that time to now, you still hear the old names. Whatever happened to such guys like this and guys like that? Why? Why such a wide gap? Why does it take so long for us to reconnect and understand that this needs to be made a priority?
Well, I ask myself the same question. I'm at the stadium, and you have people maybe 20, 30, 25 years on since I last played, since Latapede last played, since York last played, and you still hear them, boy, Nakhid and Latapede could still play for this team, York could still play for this team, Gerald Nixon could still play for this team, Angus Eve. That tells you that the public, they are very much aware that we are lacking the talent that we used to have across the board. We are lacking that. And I think what we need to do is have leagues like this, a league like mine, that will bridge that gap, that will close that gap that we used to have by exposing our young people to a higher level of competition at an earlier age so that they know exactly what they come up against. I don't know, Brother Mikey, if you saw that video that has gone viral of a young player called Adrian Welch.
Yeah.
Talking about his experience in Belgium. Did you see that video?
Yeah, I did. And
I'll give the young man credit for one thing at least. It has been the most brutally honest interview or soliloquy or explanation of what took place, of his experience. He was brutally honest. but what a lot of people wouldn't realize what he's talking about is rhythmic adaptation. He's basically saying that he couldn't get accustomed to the rhythm of the training in Belgium. And I can attest to that personally. When I left Switzerland, and I had done quite well in my first 2 years in Switzerland, when I went to Belgium, I needed, Brother Mikey, 3 months to adapt. You're talking about, this is a time when Belgium was the top 3 leagues in the world, Brother Mikey. Now he has gone, I would assume within the last decade, Belgium is no more in the top 3 leagues in the world by any stretch of the mind. And he still found that he could not adapt to the rhythm. It's called the tempo of the game there. He couldn't adapt. And this is how I love this honesty, because, you have all these people going and not making, and they'll give you all kind of excuses. They come back, the coach didn't like them, they couldn't speak the language, blah, blah, blah,
right.
the players didn't pass it. No, he was brutally honest. From the first training, he said on the first training, he realized he was like, what do you call it? Foul and cockroach business.
Yeah, he had no place being there, yeah.
And let me tell you something. I heard this before from a player who was voted when I was playing in college in America, a guy called Tommy Kane. I never got it. He wrote a book. He said he went to Germany. He was voted. He got a Hermann Trophy, which is the best player in America in soccer, in football. And he went with that award, and he went to Germany to try out with Hamburg, I think it was. And he said they were laughing at him in his first training, and he came back home to America crying because he realized he had no business being there. So people don't know what you have to go through. So I like the honesty of this guy, Adrian Wells. I love his honesty. And people don't know what he's talking about is the rhythmic adaptation. And that doesn't come easily, Brother Mikey. That comes with playing at a higher level, with the higher level players. You're exposed to a kind of rhythm, the pace of the game. And I would dare say that even now when we look at sometimes our national teams also, that's what is missing. And that only comes when you expose them to leagues like what I'm implementing. When you expose them to a higher level, you take them to Spain, you take them to regional tournaments. And that's what we intend to do. That is what you call true development. Not these 2-day, 3-day events, a 2-month league here, a 1-month league here. And I mean, you're just wasting taxpayers' money there. You're wasting people's time. They come out, and then at the end of it, they give them a trophy and some money and tell them go home. They come out with nothing or no objectives attained, nothing measurable. I think the people of Trinidad and Tobago deserve more. I think Persad-Bissessar said, we will give them more. She has become the patron of this league, and everyone is looking forward to this being a true symbol of development.
And when is the official launch?
Well, our official launch is by you, Brother Mikey, on Wednesday, please God. Wednesday the 19th, 8th, and we're starting from 8 o'clock, 8 a.m. at TTT.
That's right. 8 a.m. Wednesday 19th at TTT. People are looking forward to it already. I got several calls. People really and truly gravitating to this. I want to say hats off to you and your entire support staff and everyone who has a role to play in making this happen. Final question I want to ask you, when it's all said and done, when you're at that age where you with your great grand and you're sitting there, what would you want most of all to say that was accomplished from the David Nakhid Academy East-West Corridor Football League?
First of all, as we see actual deliverables come out of this league, meaning that some of the young players that participate in this league, they go on to represent the country. That's one. Two, a more civic engagement between the communities. This is what will bring the communities together in a more meaningful and a more beneficial manner up and down the East-West Corridor, South, Central, and Tobago. We're going to have bring back that competition between Flair and St. Joseph, between St. Joseph and St. Augustine, between Guston and Puna, between Puna and Gandhi. We want to see that between Central, between Cuba and Chaguanas. We want to see that between South. We already have teams oversubscribed in South as well. You know, we have teams in Tobago. We want to bring back the communities, and football is a unifying factor. We've seen that before, and we're going to use not only football, but as we expand on it in years to come, we're going to expand on it in other sports. But we start with that major sport in our country, football.
All right. Thank you so much. Keep up the good work. Wednesday, 19th at TTT, 8 a.m., the launch of the DNA Football League, the David Nakhid Academy, East-West Corridor Football League. Very important, East-West Corridor. Thank you so much, Senator. Keep up the good work, and I'll be seeing you.
Thank you, big brother Mikey. Take care.
Have a good one.
Deep observe.